Hello, BookTube. Welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and I can't believe that October is almost over, and that means it's time for November, and it's time for Nonfiction November. Now, there are quite a few readathons that are coming up this month. I don't think I'm going to do Tome Topple this month because I've really read all the tomes that I plan to read this year. I might do TBR Takedown, which is the week leading up to Thanksgiving, and I'm not sure yet about Borrowathon. But the one I am definitely doing is Nonfiction November. It is created and hosted by abookolive and Gemma from NonFicBooks, and they have 4 words that you can use as prompts for reading. They are substance, scholarship, love, and home, and I believe that's correct, yes. And really, all my books, a lot of my books will fit more than one category, so I don't even know if I've picked exactly what's going to fit for each category, but just know that all of the categories will be covered. Now, the first book I want to show you is one I've actually already been reading all year, and I won't finish it until the end of December because it's my daily devotional book, but I haven't ever shown it, I don't think, this year in any kind of a currently reading video. So I thought since this is Nonfiction November, it would be a good time to show you this. This is Jesus Calling by Sarah Young, and it is it's a daily devotional book with a page for each day of the year, and then it has scripture passages that you can look up and read to go along with the devotional. So that is a book that I am currently reading. Then, and I would probably count that as scholarship because I am learning a lot from that as I read through those scriptures and everything. And then this one also could probably count for scholarship because I'm going to be learning here about health and food and nutrition, things like that. Now, I have already read some Atkins books, but I need to read another one because I need to get motivated to get back on track with Atkins. I have done Atkins before and I really loved it, but I got off of it and it's been super hard to get back on. So this is The New Atkins for a New You by Dr. Eric C. Westman, Dr. Stephen D. Finney, and Dr. Jeff S. Volek. So this is one of the newer Atkins books, and I am planning to read that this month. Now, on my list of 17 nonfiction books to read in 2017, that's actually one of my lists that I made earlier in the year, and I don't think that I've ever actually done a video about that list. I think I just kind of decided early in the year that I would save it for November because I knew this was when I would read the majority of those. But I have already read 7 or 8 nonfiction books for this year, like earlier in the year, and so now I really just need to read 9 or 10 more, and I will have my 17 nonfiction books completed for this year. And I didn't even specify exactly what books. For some of them I just put categories, like I wanted to read at least one marriage book and at least one parenting book and at least one organizing book, things like that. So I've already read a couple of organizing books this year, so I don't have any of those on my TBR, and you'll know that is one of my favorite types of nonfiction books. But I do want to read a relationship book or a marriage book, and I was thinking of doing the Love Dare, and I have that book, but I don't know, right now I'm just not motivated to do it. So I looked on my shelves and I picked out a couple, and I may read both of them or I might just read one of them. This is one that a friend gave me a long time ago and I never read it. It's called The Excellent Wife, A Biblical Perspective by Martha Peace. And then if I feel like reading on the humorous side of things, I have Couplehood by Paul Reiser. I have never read this and it's been sitting on my shelf since we got married and I need to read it. And you know, the funny thing is that today I was sitting in the living room reading, and I happened to look up, and my daughter Katie was watching the new season of Stranger Things, and I looked up, and there was a man on there that looked very familiar, and I think it's Paul Reiser. I almost didn't recognize him because it's been years since I've seen him on any kind of television show or anything, and I'm pretty sure it's him. So anyway, interesting. So then I want to read at least a couple of parenting books, and I picked this one up because I love the title. Even June Cleaver Would Forget the Juice Box by Anne Dunwald, PhD, and it says, cut yourself some slack and still raise great kids in the age of extreme parenting. Now, I think this is going to be geared more towards parents of younger children, but I still want to read it. I love the title, and I picked it up at a book sale, so I'm definitely going to take a look at it. And then, because both my kids are teenagers, I am going to read The 5 Love Languages languages for teenagers. I don't have a physical copy of it, but I've got it ordered from the library. It is a companion book to the original 5 Love Languages. And I discovered that the 5 Love Languages of Teens is on Hoopla on audio. So I'll be listening to it, and then I will have a print copy from the library hopefully by tomorrow. Then another book that has to do with family, and I guess you could count this one for love, although the marriage books would probably be the ones I'd count for love. But I do have Love That Boy by Ron Fournier. And I heard quite a lot of great reviews of this maybe about a year ago. It seemed like several people that I follow on BookTube were reading this. And I said then that I thought I would like to read it. It's also on Hoopla Audio, and I checked out this copy from the library so that I could read along. And I will be listening to that. Oh, excuse me, I bumped the thing that the camera, that the phone is sitting on. Sorry about that. So I definitely want to get that one read this month. And then one other book that I don't know if I'll get to, but as I was looking on my shelf to pull these books, I found this one, and I forgot that I had it. This is the series Topics in Autism, and this one is on siblings of children with autism, a guide for families. It's less than 200 pages, and it looks really interesting. So I think I would enjoy reading some of the discussion on that topic. As you guys know, I have 2 daughters. One's typical, one is autism, and it is definitely a different dynamic, a family dynamic for the sibling that is typical, and how they live their lives, and how they deal, and how they how the family relates differently to each child. And so it's an interesting thing, and it's an interesting topic, and since I'm right in the middle of it, I would like to read about it. Okay, then the rest of what I have are memoirs, and then I've got a couple of classics that I'm going to throw in this month as well. So I have this book called 1,000 Gifts by Ann Voskamp. A friend of mine gave me this quite a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I started reading it. I got to page 28, and I set it down, and I remember calling her and saying, wow, this is really heavy. It's harsh. So this is probably going to be substance for Nonfiction November. But she even put a post-it note here. She says, this is so good. And I'm sure it is, because I definitely trust her judgment. But I just remember reading the first part of it and thinking, oh, my goodness, it was breaking my heart. And then since I started watching BookTube videos, I saw Felicia from Little Prairie Library read this. And I'm pretty sure I recall that she really liked it. So I said then I needed to get it back out, dust it off, and tackle it again. So then I also have another one that could probably be considered full of substance. And I'm going to read it on my Kindle. It is... find it here. I think it should come right up because I pulled it up. The Making of a Funeral Director by Janice J. Richardson. Now, sorry if that's kind of a glare. I read her, the first book in her Cozy Mystery series, and I've kind of gotten acquainted with her a little bit online, and I wanted to read her memoir. I think it's a fascinating career field. It's nothing that I could ever do personally, but just from reading her Cozy Mystery book that takes place in a funeral home made me really interested to read her memoir. So then... hopefully a little bit on the lighter side of memoirs, although this one may still be considered substance. Mennonite in a Little Black Dress by Rhoda Jansen. I hadn't heard of Rhoda Jansen until I saw her book called Does This Church Make Me Look Fat? And I love that title. So of course I had to get it. And then I read a little bit about her, and I saw that she had another memoir, which I found later on at a book sale. So I'm going to read this one first. I still haven't read the other one. This looks lighthearted and fun, but then when I read the description, I realized that it may be a little tougher read than I think, because it's about her married life and her husband leaving her for someone he met on gay.com. So that should really be interesting, and I'm really curious to read it, and you know, hopefully it will be a good thing to read. And then this one's definitely on the lighter side of things. This is one I've been wanting to read for at least 2 years, probably. I got this from Book Outlet. Kim Zimmer was Reva Shane on The Guiding Light, and the title of the book, I'm Just Saying, and it says 3 deaths, 7 husbands, and a clone, my life on Guiding Light and beyond. And yes, Reva Shane went through all of those things on Guiding Light. So I have really been excited to read this. It's been sitting on my shelf, and I can't wait to read it, although I guess I can because I have. But anyway, I really do want to read this book. Then I have an autobiography of Laura Ingalls Wilder, Pioneer Girl. It is edited by Pamela Smith Hill, and I believe what they did was took the notes and stories that Laura originally wrote down that later she fictionalized into the Little House books that we all know, but they took her actual stories and edited them into this autobiography. My family got me this for Christmas, not this past year, but in 2015, and I have been needing to read it ever since. It's been sitting on my shelf, and I'm super excited about it, and I've just been saving it for this month. And this is also annotated. So since I am reading one annotated book, I figure I may as well pick up another annotated book that's been on my shelf for about the same length of time. And it's the Annotated Hobbit. Yes, I know it's not nonfiction. I have read The Hobbit at least 3 times, but I've never read the Annotated Hobbit. This has some illustrations and annotations, and of course, and all of that. And try to find something with pictures. So I am excited to read this. I may combine it with the audio version, which I do have, but I've been really wanting to see what is just to see what's in this one, because I really enjoy the Hobbit story. And since I'm going to read one classic, I may as well read one more, which is also not nonfiction. But we're starting a mystery book club at my local library, and it's going to be November 7th, the first meeting, and we're discussing Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I've read this before, but I've listened to an abridged version, so I'd like to get this full version out and at least kind of skim through it and see what I missed by listening to the abridged. I'm pretty sure I remember how it all comes out, but I should refresh myself on it before our first club meeting. So that is it for Nonfiction November. What are you reading for Nonfiction November? Or what are you reading for any of the other readathons that are going on in November? Let me know. And I hope to talk to you again soon. I still have 2 more days worth of videos to do for Veto, and then I will be back early in November with probably a birthday book haul and an October wrap-up and things like that. So for now, that's all I have for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.